Sup guys, Haking here, bringing you a live reaction to the new Resident Evil trailer by Zack Cregger. So I'm going to be reacting to this, giving my thoughts on this, and I'm also going to be reacting to the video that he's done, the director's commentary, which is like 12 minutes long, so I'll be watching that as well. And yeah, I'll also be talking about the script leak because, yeah, we're going to see how much of this is legit and that. By the way, Guten Morgen from Deutschland. I'm on holiday here, by the way, visiting some family. So yeah, that's why the setup and the audio and everything is properly off. I don't have my usual equipment with me, so just the laptop and the the laptop webcam technically. Hopefully this turns out well. It probably won't, but it's the only way to get this done, and I don't know if the internet connection works here properly, but we'll see. We'll see if I can get this uploaded today or whenever I'm somewhere with a good internet connection. But yeah, hopefully ihr alle werden das mögen. Vergesst nicht zu like and subscribe. Bitte. Danke. God, my German's a bit off. Sorry about that. But yeah, let's do this, guys. Let's do this. Now.
Hello? I had a little bit of a problem on the road. I was wondering if I could use your phone. Hello?
Got some RE7 vibes going on already. From the mind of Zack Cregger.
Yes, we're sorry.
The director of weapons. And Barbarian.
Hey, babe. Look, I'm really sorry that we got disconnected earlier, but, some things have, happened. I'm in, like, a seriously fucked up situation right now.
Oh yeah, a lot of this is matching up with the script leak.
And it looks like there's a chance that we might not get to talk to each other
the
again.
fat zombie, yeah. That's the main stalker enemy, apparently. Apparently, it is.
I just wanted you to know.
The babies.
I love you.
Resident. That was cool. No, that was a pretty decent trailer, actually. That was pretty cool. All right, should we do the... Okay, let's keep it here for a second. Let me get my quick thoughts. Cinematography, great. The visuals look great. The atmosphere looks great. I think this looks Resident Evil-ish in spirit. Looks pretty decent. You've got the whole starting in the house, very RE7 inspired, I think. The farmhouse, very RE4. There's a lot of RE4 elements to this. I mean, going from what the script leak said and seeing some of the stuff that matches up with that, there's definitely some RE4 vibes mixed with some RE7. But mainly, I would say it's got the Thing inspiration going on there a bit. Because the zombies in this aren't your traditional zombies. And for all the crap that's been saying about this movie taking place in, like, you know, during the events of RE2 and 3, it's not the case. This is its own thing, which is not a bad thing, but I kind of hoped they would try and make a movie that takes place in the game universe and is its own canon, and that doesn't appear to be the case. But let's look at the director's commentary and see what Zack Cregger has to say.
This is for sure, bar none, my most visually gonzo movie. All right, I'm Zack Cregger. This is the teaser for Resident Evil, which is coming out September 18th. Okay, so basically, my rule for this movie was to just try and make a movie that felt like my experience of playing the games, that could live in the world of Resident Evil. So this, you know, I feel like this movie takes place alongside the events of Resident Evil 2. I like to think that, you know, everything that's going on in the police station could be happening in this world. This is just another dude on another mission on the other side of town, and like what's going on with him.
All right, let's pause it there for a second. So yeah, in terms of the spirit and in terms of like feeling like you're playing the game with that, there's definitely elements in this. There's definitely weapons management. He definitely progresses through the various weapons that he gets and collects. There's definitely item procurement. Having to like get the right item to access the right area. And that there's definitely elements of that in there. And there's definitely some Easter eggs as well from reading what we read from the leak script in that, which is. It sounds like honestly, in spirit, it sounds very Resident Evil-ish. They got that part correct. In terms of him saying he likes to think it takes place, it doesn't. I mean, unless they change this in the final movie, this film doesn't take place in like 1998, is it? No, this takes place in like modern age because he's got like a modern phone, and I think there's even a line of dialogue which references something that's currently happened modern wise. So it's like, yeah, this doesn't take place in 97. So I don't know. I mean, at the same time, you can just sort of say, okay, maybe the technology is just a bit more advanced in that year because you sort of play like the newer remakes, right? Like RE2 remake and RE3 remake, and maybe some of the tech's a bit higher up than it was in the original 98 setting, but I think that's the part that's probably going to annoy a lot of people. You're gonna go into this thinking, okay, this is like game canon then, right? Like it doesn't. Like the virus itself, like the T virus isn't even referenced. Like again, unless they changed a few things here and there, there's the only reference to Resident Evil really from the lore of the games is Raccoon City being name dropped, Umbrella Corp, and that's really it. Like not even the RPD. Like here, it's described. Like if you're on the script leak, it says that he gets like the uniform. He gets like a jacket from the police officer that ends up dying, right? And he wears it, and it says RCPD, not RPD. So yeah, it's a bit weird as well because in the script leak, apparently, like it even says like, when he wears the suit, it says, oh, this is the part where fans will jizz their pants. It's so weird to have writing like that in this, like. It says RCPD. Why would I jizz my pants when you've got the initials and the logo wrong? So what's going on there, right?
So yeah, I mean, it's not canon in that I'm not using the characters, but it's canon in that it lives in the actual day of reckoning and Raccoon City. So this movie follows the characters. He's outside of Raccoon City. He's got to get into the center of it, and we're kind of with him as he goes through this gauntlet of set pieces as he gets deeper and deeper into town. And so what I love about the games is that every set piece brings with it unique new horrors. And so I wanted.
So a lot of people are like going around saying, "Oh, is that fat zombie like a version of Mr. X or something?" No, it's just a fat zombie, and like if you've seen like other, I swear I think I've seen this in like maybe like books or like cartoons or like horror, basically typical horror stuff. There's like mutated rats in there. So I know, spoiler alert, but yeah, mutated rats end up coming out of that thing. So you've got the dog, you've got like the dog in there, the Rottweiler, you've got again, they're not your traditional zombies, that's the thing. It's like they're very tentacle evolved. Like you see in this shot here with the arms and that's like two bodies or something fused together by tentacles, and it creates this creature. I think I've seen some people saying online like it's Nukes or Neeks or something, that creature from Resident Evil Outbreak 2, File 2, like the true final boss of that game. So I could see maybe this taking inspiration from that perhaps, but I don't mind. I don't mind new stuff. In a way, this feels almost like a movie version of Resident Evil 7 if it tried to take place in Raccoon City. So I guess that's a cool thing. Again, in spirit, this definitely feels like a Resident Evil story, like spiritually wise. In everything else, it's pretty much its own thing. That's not a bad thing, but after the stuff we've experienced with Paul W.S. Anderson and what they did with Welcome to Raccoon City, you want like a more accurate, more faithful take, and we're not getting that, unfortunately. And yet, spiritually wise, we sort of are, because like the movie does start in a similar fashion to the way the games start. You start outside, things have happened. In this case, it's like a wreckage, a car crash or something, or you've hit someone, they escape into the house, and then from the house that leads to, or the starting area that leads to like the underground, the sewers, from the sewers that leads to back up to like where, you know, the city or the lab and that. So it's sort of like done like that in a way. So it does follow that spiritually, that progression as well. So yeah.
Rhythm to feel like it was always changing, it was always shifting. You were always facing increasingly bigger dangers, and you had to be aware of, you know, resource management and health and things like that. So I really did use a lot of cues from the games on how to build this thing out. And so yeah, it's a love letter to the games, which I fully obsessively love. All right, so one of the things that I love about Resident Evil is the graduation from gun to gun to gun. So you can see in the first shot here, he's got a pistol.
Yeah.
That's the first weapon that he acquires. As he progresses, he'll graduate to the shotgun.
Yep.
And then ultimately he'll get an MP5.
Yep.
That's one of the fun things about playing these games is whenever you get the new weapon, you're like, oh, fucking thank God. Thank God. And so his character kind of has that reaction as he does it. A lot of this movie is like third person, you know, so there's a steady cam following Austin, our actor, and it was really a dance between him and our camera operator. So, you know, when I had a really wide lens and we're kind of over his shoulder, and so when he looks left, we like pivot around to look left, and when he looks right, we swing around and look right. So I really tried to incorporate just the visual language of the games into the movie. There's also, you know, a fair amount of first person shooter stuff in this movie that is, you know, the games utilize sometimes, but really just like you're behind the character, and when they look right, you look right. When they look up, you look up, and just letting that be the most common visual language of the movie, I should say, is very much from the games. This is for sure, bar none, my most visually gonzo movie by far. The great thing about how I like to play Resident Evil.
So in terms of the visual aspect and the camera perspectives, that's actually really interesting. I like that. I actually really appreciate that they try to implement those kind of elements to it, like the camera angles, the camera perspectives, and giving it that sort of video game nostalgic homage and flair. So that's really cool. It's really cool. I like his movies. I did like Barbarian. I did like Weapons, even if I think that was a bit more on the comedic side instead of scary. But I thought they were really good. And watching them, I did say like this guy could be a good, you know, a good sort of addition to making a choice to do a Resident Evil film, and he's doing it. So yeah, let's see how it turns. I mean, we've said this before about other directors as well. Like I remember watching the the first two Star Trek movies by J.J. Abrams and thinking, oh, this guy should do Star Wars. Like if they ever make another Star Wars movie, he should do Star Wars. And we all saw how that turned out. So, you know, sometimes the director you think is going to be good for the job isn't. But maybe this time it'll be different. But again, going from the script leak, it's nothing amazing. But looking at this movie and the way the visuals look and the atmosphere in that, I think this is going to be like at least a fun film. So I'm looking forward to that.
Especially the first time I play one of the games, I like to go really slow through the world and just kind of drink it in and try and immerse myself. You know, I'm pretending I'm there, like we all probably do when we play games. So you know, Austin is our main character, Brian, I should say. He's moving slowly through this world. So you know, if you've seen any of my other movies, you know I like to kind of like creep through these dreadful spaces, and Resident Evil is like the perfect playground for a guy like me who likes to just, you know, really take his time turning down a hallway, opening a door, you know, and waiting for that Jack in the Box moment.
So going from the script leak, I don't remember there being a scene where he picks up the phone and tries talking to it. So I think this is like something that was added in the movie. So that makes me hope that there's some new additions in this. Because again, going from the script leak, your main character is Brian, and there's some other characters as well, but they don't really get any real development. They're just there to like get the main character to a certain point or provide some meaningless exposition that really doesn't add a lot to the lore. And that's like, this happened, and it's like, okay, that's the plot, let's move on. It definitely could have been better, but it's their case of trying to keep it simple for the audience, I guess. But
and so you know, that's kind of what Austin's doing here, is he finds this abandoned farmhouse. I was a massive fan of Austin after working on Weapons, and I'm a bigger fan of him after making Resident Evil with him. He's just He's so fascinating. He's the perfect avatar for the viewer. And what I wanted was, I wanted to do a Resident Evil movie where you're not following a badass with military training. You're following your average gamer like me. Like if I was thrust into a Resident Evil game, I would be terrified and I would be missing 95% of the shots I took. I would have to learn the guns as I go because I've played with an MP5, for however many thousands of hours playing video games. But if I have one in my hand, I'm like, where's the safety? How does this work? And so I think it's just kind of fun to be following somebody with no combat experience whatsoever as they're walking through hell with a machine gun. What he's carrying is important, and he doesn't know the whole picture when he accepts the job of what he's been tasked with. And Austin is just kind of this like perfect, very lovable, but by no means badass guy. And his reactions to the horrors is just I love it.
We did play Resident Evil games with characters who aren't experienced or badasses. I mean, Claire wasn't technically experienced. She had some experience from training from her brother, but she was still a college student. Ethan is the big case of playing as a civilian for the first time in the series. Technically not the first time if you count Outbreak 1 and 2, because we had some civilians in that. Elisa was a civilian. Jim, he was a subway worker. Cindy, the waitress, George, the professor, and David King, the plumber, the fixer. Mark was a security guard. Kevin was an RPD officer, and Yoko was a student, but actually secretly an Umbrella employee. But yeah, like we've played through games where we've played as civilians and not badasses. It's a bit weird, like. Because again, I think from what I remember, Zack Cregger said that RE4 was his favorite one, and it's the one he played first, I think. And I don't know if he's played the other games in that, but like the way he talks about bringing up the fact that we do play as normal people throughout the series here and there, it's
And it looks like there's a chance that we might not get to talk to each other again.
I just really love the idea of like you're moving through a sewer. You have no idea what's in front of you. And you come around a corner and you see a gigantic, obese, naked, hairless man just sitting facing you. It's like, to me, it's just like, what is about to go down? I like the question there. And what does go down, I am also pretty happy with. Honestly, it's like part of the inspiration for the look of this guy comes from the book Blood Meridian. There's a character called the Judge in that book who's described as like a 7-foot tall, maybe albino, hairless man. And I love the image of that guy. And so this is just my little nod to one of my favorite books.
So yeah, in terms of like enemies and that, like I said, this uses original enemies. There's no familiar enemies in this. You've got the dog and you've got your zombie, and that's really it. Everything else in this film seems to be an original take, which makes me wonder and curious, will they use these enemies in future games perhaps? Is this movie an attempt to introduce a new type of virus or parasite that will end up becoming sort of a thing in the future of the games perhaps? Because I did hear something about the director Capcom and Constantine. Like Capcom was involved in this apparently. I read a comment from Dusk Golem like literally today before doing this reaction, and he said something like, "Oh, Capcom was informed of this and that, etc., and like they licensed these new creatures and that." I don't know. It's something for later on. Maybe I'd have to do later, but I'm very curious. Like, because if these are new enemies that this movie's introducing, does that mean they're going to be introduced in future games perhaps? Didn't Anderson do that? Didn't Anderson give us like a new enemy type? Like in the final chapter, we had like that. Like we had the dogs, right? But they were different. They had like the Magini sort of mouths, but it was very differently designed to how they were in RE4, RE5, the game, right? And then we also had that one ferocious creature with the teeth and that attacked Alice and killed that one dude in the tunnels and that in that little lab thing. Like that wasn't from the games. That was something entirely new. So yeah, the movies have done like new enemy types before, I guess. So yeah, I'm curious how this is gonna look overall.
Time and it's like I don't have a nemesis in this movie, that the games use, which is like this gigantic hulking, Terminator that's following you. But this is also like a little bit of a nod to the nemesis.
Not really. that is.
I don't want to give too much away of whatever it is that's coming out of the door, but I will say that there's a mechanic that I've put into this movie that is, it might be in some of the games, and I just can't remember it being in some of the games, but basically it's the way the infected interact with each other, and it's something that kind of pursues him throughout the movie.
Yeah,
and
so that
so I don't want to say too much, but I'm really excited for how this specific creature, for lack of a better term, how it changes and how it evolves over the course of the film is really fun.
Nukes.
Believe
I
it or not,
think
this-
I think nukes. I think that is like one of the inspirations. So he does say that. I mean, he says he doesn't remember, like, but yeah, I think nukes is the big thing, isn't it? Because that's the only creature I remember that was sort of like absorbing. No, Ouroboros was another one actually. Ouroboros was another one that sort of absorbed bodies, but in the end, that was just a big like black wet dripping tentacle with like orbs and that. This is different. This is a creature where you're gonna see the different body parts and that. So G-Virus final form, I guess that counts because that was sort of, you know, observation, like that final form had like various different body parts. It wasn't just Birkin, I think when it started like changing and growing at the end, its final mutation, it was sort of absorbing everything that was sort of running into, I guess. Because like in some of the pictures you can see it's got like different, like multiple hands and legs and stuff sticking out. So yeah.
movie doesn't utilize zombies that much. It's much more focused on like the weird creature stuff than the zombies.
Yeah.
There's really only 2 scenes, maybe 3 actually, now that I think about it, where there's like proper zombie stuff going on, and 2 of those 3 are in this trailer. There's this one right here, and then there's the one where he's running through the city streets and zombies are like detonating around him. But other than that, it's not I wouldn't call this like a zombie movie necessarily. I just feel like you have this opportunity for the T-Virus to do all these really...
So he says T-Virus, he calls it T-Virus in this. Again, from the script leak, apparently it's never called T-Virus. I'm assuming in the final cut of the movie they're going to say T-Virus, but it doesn't work like the T-Virus. It's more of a parasite than an actual virus, which is weird. Like, the virus is in the infection, you get bitten, yeah, but then the way it moves and the characteristics, it's that of a parasite. T-virus infected parasite. We've never really had that, have we? Like, I'm trying to think if the closest maybe is the TG combination we had in Dead Aim. Again, I've never played Dead Aim, I've seen the cutscenes, but that's not really a good comparison, is it? We've never actually had like a proper T-virus mixed with a parasite. So that's something new. I think that's something really cool and new. But at the end of RE9, they did say that Elpis like makes all the progenitor type viruses obsolete, right? So are we ever going to see like a T-type again? Because it would be really cool if they did like a T-virus. Imagine they did a T-virus mixed with Las Plagas. I think that would be really cool to see like in the future of one of the games. So that's kind of something I would hope they could pursue doing. Like, that would be kind of cool, mixing the 2 different elements together. Like, you got your T-virus and you've got your parasite mixing together and see how that would come out. So I think that would be a cool idea to neutralize for a future game. But it seems this movie is doing that. It's sort of own take on that. So yeah, again, it's an interesting idea. When it comes to the concepts, I think it's very interesting. But in terms of like having it set in Raccoon City and all that, like, it's very weird. Like, I feel like this could have been its own thing taking place in the game universe, but for some reason it's like they're trying to do that, but then they're not trying to do that. It's very complicated.
Fascinating things to the human body and to the world around you, and so to just limit it to zombies feels like a squandered opportunity. So
yeah, and the fact that it's not a zombie movie, again, going from the script leak, it's really not a zombie film. There's barely any zombies in this, actually. So yeah, that's the surprising part. It is more of a creature feature stalkerish type of movie than zombies here, zombies there, and that. No.
So I tried to really vary it up.
Some things have happened.
Okay, great. So I'm glad you picked on the drawers and the empty shotgun, because one of the things that like is so integral to playing Resident Evil is you're constantly searching for healing items and ammunition, right? And that's what he's doing in these scenes where he's going through the drawers. He's found a shotgun. He's got no shells. He's got to find the shells. So he's got to like comb this house for these like vital, bits of ammunition.
I did like that.
You can't really do a proper, love letter to the games without that. And so I've also hidden some. I think you can see one in this trailer. Maybe there's a plant. Camera screen left over his right shoulder. You can kind of see
Yeah.
it in the movie. The shot pulls back farther, and you can see it. But I took the green herb from Resident Evil 4 and I replicated the bucket exactly.
See, he keeps saying Resident Evil 4. I mean, these were in Resident Evil 1, they were in 2, they were in 3. They've been in all the games, really. So it's kind of weird that he's saying, oh yeah, Resident Evil 4 specifically. That's... It just makes it sound like that's the only thing he's actually played and he's not played the other games. So that's really kind of annoying me. Like, if you really wanted to pay homage to the herb, you could have just, like, I don't know, had a scene where he takes it and like, he eats it or he tries to smoke it or something, do you know what I mean? Or puts it on his wound or whatever, like... And I mean, like, what the hell? How does this even work? Do you know what I mean? That would have been interesting, but no, we don't get anything like that. Like usual, the herb's just a background thing. Like, they've done that for all the previous Resident Evil films as well, I think. Like, they had the herb, then it's just in the background. It's never used for anything.
But you can see the bucket there at the very end of that shot with the, like, the horizontal copper striping on it, and the herb is like exact for the Resident Evil 4 thing, which is probably the game I've played the most out of this series is 4. Even though this probably lives in the world of 2, I just wanted to use a little bit of 4 in here, just because it's
a little bit of 4, a little bit of, again, like, there's barely any zombies in this. It's a parasitic creature. Like, it honestly feels more like a love letter to Resident Evil 4 and the Las Plagas. In this case, you know, I'm just gonna say it. Gloria Las Plagas. Gloria Las Plagas. That's what it is. That's what it feels like. Really, it's really missing just the cult, like.
It's my favorite. And I also have some other items from 4 that are kind of scattered around in this movie that people will notice. As much as 4 is the game I've played the most, I don't think it's very scary. You know, 4 does not do nearly as much atmospheric heavy lifting as later games do. I mean, for me, the scariest moment of any Resident Evil game is in 8 when you're being pursued by the giant baby in the dark.
He's played the other game. Okay.
So some of the games after 4, I think, actually do a better job of building dread and suspense and terror. But the reason that I keep coming back to 4 is because the world is so big, the game is so huge, the mechanics are fantastic, and it does lean a little bit more action than some of the more horror-centric ones. But I don't know. I find it so relentlessly playable. I'm always interested in how it kind of goes from location to location to location, and you got to go through. You know, at some point you're on a boat, and then you're on like a Indiana Jones Temple of Doom kind of mine cart thing going around. There's just like there's so much to do in that game, and I think that's something that I really dug.
Yeah, one of the things I can say about this is, like, going off the vibe from the trailer and again from the script leak, yeah, it's definitely a horror-focused story. Like, it's barely action. Like, you got your action moments here and there, but it is more horror-focused, so that's a good thing.
About 4 is that you're not just trapped in one mansion and you've got to unlock a room and then go here and then unlock another room. You're moving through a world, and so that's something that I really took from that game in particular. And one of the other things that is in this movie that comes directly from the games is the need for keys and for padlocks being barriers. You know, if you've ever played one of these games, you know that you always come to a locked door and you don't have what you need to get to the other side, and you have to go through hell to get the key to get out of here. And so that happens, I'd say, about 4 times over the course of this movie, where he's like, what is with all the padlocks, man? Anyone who's played the games will recognize exactly, you know, what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's like a reference to Resident Evil 5 Lost in Nightmares DLC when you get the crank and it's like, what is it with this guy and the cranks? So, yeah, nice, cool reference there. Like, I think fans will like that. Or they'll be annoyed by that, I don't know.
I had a little bit of a problem on the road. I was wondering if I could use your phone.
It takes place almost in real time, but not really. There's a lot of time jumps, but yeah, it takes place over the course of one evening. I'm sort of existing just adjacent to it because I'm not obsessed with the timeline. For me, it's like this is the first night that the T virus has broken out, and in this movie, it is like started in Raccoon City, and he's got to go straight into the eye of the storm, and so that's the deal. So I believe that, you know, when Leon arrives at the police station, that's still kind of like day 0, right? Where shit's, you know, freshly gone wrong. So that's That's the timeline. Now I know that Raccoon City gets nuked, and I'm a little fuzzy on the timeline of when the nuke drops versus the day Leon, sets foot in the police station. That nuking doesn't happen in this movie, which is why I'm not totally like brushed up on all that stuff. So yeah, this exists on like day one, Raccoon City. Shit just went south. I was very, very fortunate to have a studio and a production company that really supported me and never got in the way of we got to make sure we're doing X, Y, or Z. Like I was given nothing but support, and so I know there's all kinds of horror stories you hear about filmmakers dabbling with IP and running into all sorts of frustrations, but I truly didn't have that.
Which is the opposite of what Dos Column says, because apparently they did have that. But maybe I'm getting that wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I think Capcom didn't allow them to do the license thing this time around. They were like, do your own thing maybe. I'll have to read for the post later, obviously. But yeah, that doesn't seem to actually be the case. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the movie. I don't know if I'm gonna go and see it in cinemas or if I'm gonna wait till it's out and then react to it and post that maybe. Or maybe I'll watch it, then I'll react to it. I don't know. Like, let me know what you think is better. Like, would you want me to wait and then react to it and have that be my first time experience? Because, like I said, I've already like read everything about script leak and that. So, and from watching the trailer, it definitely matches up with that 100% beat by beat, unless they've changed some things and made something surprising. It is disappointing this actually doesn't take place during the game. Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. They keep saying, oh yeah, but it's just a thing they're saying. It doesn't actually take place during the games. I guess if they decided to make a sequel, they could have it take place during it and establish the timeline properly, but they clearly just thought about doing their own thing. It definitely feels like Paul W.S. Anderson, like the OG Resident Evil 1 again, where it's like, we're going to do our own thing, but have it take place before the events of the games. And that first movie, theatrically, you could maybe have it fit in there as a prequel, but then the sequels didn't do that. Like, I would, if this does well and ends up being decent, I wouldn't mind them doing a sequel that does try, again, be its own thing, but takes place in the game universe. Like, we see the POV of citizens trying to escape Raccoon City, and maybe we get little hints and stuff like at stuff that's already happened from the games. Like maybe we go past the RPD station, maybe we go past the wreckage of the truck crash and that, or maybe there's a subway scene and they go past the derailed subway car or the car or whatever, or we get the remains of the clock tower and the helicopter crash, something like that. I think that would be kind of cool if they do something like that. Basically Outbreak. Yeah, basically just do like a movie version of what Outbreak is, with like the citizens or other people of Raccoon City, and having that taking all the lore we know from the games and putting it into that film, but having it be its own thing still, but it takes place at the same time as the games do. Like, I think that could really, really work if they do it like that and try really hard. Like, I think that, like, basically what Fallout did. Again, I'm all for original storytelling if it's done very well. In this case, with this movie, we're not getting that. We're not getting, like, something that fits into the game universe. But in terms of a spiritual, like, homage to the games, it's doing that. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun. Like, I think it's going to be a fun, good horror movie. I don't think it's going to be a great Resident Evil movie, though. That's going to be the issue. I can see a lot of, like, horror fans who liked Barbarian and Weapons watching this and going, this is fun, this is great. But as an RE fan, you're going to be like, nah, this is poor, this is bad. We'll have to wait and see. I want to give it a chance. Like I said, the trailer was fun. From what I saw of the script leak and that, it sounded interesting. So, and with how it matches up with this, it sounds interesting. Like, it could be better. It could be a lot better. In the end of the day, this is like a 90-minute film, essentially. So, maybe even shorter than that, depending. But I'm going to give it a chance. We'll see. Anyway, guys, that was my reaction and thoughts to all of this. I hope you liked it. As always, remember to like and subscribe. And I shall see you when I shall see you. Guten Tag und Tschüss.